Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today I'm participating in the Shabby Chic Christmas with some of my fabulous friends, Dawn from Shabby Meets Bling, Annie from Crafting with Indie Annie Jones, Myra from Farm Fresh Designs 59, and Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. Let's get started on DIY number 1. I'm going to be taking these clothespins here and I'm going to make some snowflake ornaments with them. So the first thing I need to do is take them apart. Now I have all the pieces here. Now what you do is you're going to take some glue. You can use any kind of glue you want. I'm going to start with hot glue and I'm going on the outer side of the clothespins and putting them together to make these shapes. So I need to use 8 clothespins to make a snowflake. And I have 2 different sizes for this snowflake of clothespins that I'm going to be using. Let's go ahead and get all these glued together. Alright, now I'm taking my 4 larger clothespins and I'm just going to be gluing them like this. And then I'm going to take my smaller ones and go in between. All right, now that that is done, I have these even smaller clothespins that I'm going to take apart. And I want to put this in the center of the big snowflake. So I'm going to make another 8-sided snowflake, like so. And this one will be going in or on top of this bigger snowflake, but I'm going to be painting these, so there will be 2 different colors here. All right, so this is what it's going to look like. But first I want to get it painted before I glue them together. I'm going to be using my Waverly chalk paint and plaster for the bigger snowflake. I'm going to get this all painted up on both sides. Now I'm going to take some brown iron oxide and paint the smaller snowflake. I'm actually putting it on and then I'm going to be wiping it off a little bit. I did water this down just a touch. Now when it dried, I took some of my sandpaper and roughed it up a little bit, and I'm going to be doing the same to the white one. All right, now I'm going to glue the small snowflake to the large one, and I'm just going to use the E6000 and I'll let it sit for a few hours. So I have an ornament holder here that I was able to just push through. I like how these just hook together. They got 2 plastic ends and that hole was just big enough to get it through. So now I want to cover up the front here and the back. So I have all these cute little wood snowflake cutouts, different ones. I'm just going to hot glue this one to the front. And I'm going to go ahead and add one to the back side too. Trying to figure out which one I want to use here. Maybe 2? No, we'll just do 1. I'm going to use this one. All right, and this one is done. Here's the other one that I did. I made it more of a two-tone, and I put a wood circle on the back here, and I put my snowflakes to cover it up. Now, time for DIY number 2. And this one is some bells that I got from Walmart. Oh my gosh, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago. I never did anything with them. And I'm going to take these apart. This is just twisted together. And what I want to do is I want to cut the bells in half. And it worked. So what I did was, this is what it looked like, and it took a little while. I took my heat gun to it, and I took my razor blade knife, and I went really slow, but it did go really fast right here and messed up, but that's okay. I'm just going to glue it. It's going to get painted. You will never see it. All right, so here we go, getting a top coat of espresso. Going to go ahead and get both of these painted. I'm not going to paint the inside of the bells. I'm just going to paint the outside. And it's probably going to take 2 coats because of the basket weave design. All right, now that they're done and dry, I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster, and I'm going to dry brush over the pattern. I'm just going to shabby it up just a little bit. Just going to keep putting it on here until I get the desired look. So I think I'm going to go a little bit heavier on here. I like to start out lighter and then just add more. All right, I have both of them done. I love the way they turned out. Now I'm going to take some of this lace here, and I'm going to gather it with some needle and thread, and then I'm going to hot glue it underneath the bell. So it's just going to gather it up like this, of course with the needle and thread, and then glue it. I'm going to do it on both of them. All right, here's how they turned out. I think these are so pretty. But I want to put some trim here, and I also want to add some pearls. So I have this trim. I think this is perfect. I'm going to hot glue it on, and it's got a design in it where the pearls are going to fit perfectly in the design. I'm going to get this lace trim hot glued on first, and then I'm going to go over the trim with the pearl strand. All right, now that those are done, I'm going to be using this picture frame here that I'm going to be attaching the bells to. But first I want to cover up the cardboard area, and I'm just going to use some wrapping paper to do that. I love this wrapping paper. I've had it for a few years, and it does have a little bit of texture to it. So I'm going to cut a piece that I can just fit underneath the mat in the frame, and I will just tape it down to the cardboard. All right, I've got my wrapping paper in here. I hot glued the bells on. And now I want to add some details up here to the top of the bells. So this is some greenery that I painted with that espresso brown, and then I put the plaster over it to make it look just like the bells. This is my first layer, actually the bottom layer. And then I have a pick here that I've taken apart with the white. And we're just going to put this leaf pattern here. I'm not going to use all these. Let's cut a couple of them off. And then I'll glue this over here. I am not gluing anything to the mat. Everything is either glued to the bells or to the wrapping paper. So I'm going to put these little pieces right here. I've got this cute little pine cone. That's a plastic one, and then I have a real pine cone with some white on it. Get them glued in. Let's get the last pine cone on here. And I also have these little different looking pine cone pieces that came off of a pick, but I don't like the green on there because I don't have any green going on, so I'm going to paint them white real quick. Alright, so those are painted white, so that blends in a little more. I'm going to put this little bunch right here. Get that glued in. And then I have this little piece right here. There, that looks pretty. And I'm going to add just a little bit, a few more pieces in here of the evergreen. About 2 more pieces, I think. So I'll put 3 total. And get the last one in. And I'm not finished yet. No, you know, I gotta add a little bit more. I need some little berries in here. Gotta add the berries. I thought about doing red ones, but no, I think I'm just gonna make everything monochromatic on here. So I got these little white creamish colored berries, and I'm gonna put 3 clustered over here together, and then 3 on the other side. All right, now I need to put something at the top because I think a bow would be really pretty. I love this ribbon I got, just recently got this from Walmart. I think it looks perfect. So I'm just going to be folding this over to where I will have 3 pieces on each side of my bow. Need to do one more flip, and then I'm going to cut it off. And then I'm going to tie it with some wire. Try and get this pinched down here. There we go. And twist, twist, twist. And I'm going to fluff it out. And then glue it to the top here. All right, now that that is done, I just want to add one more thing. Well, maybe 2 more things. So I left this trim here. You know, I think, I can't remember if I got this trim from Temu. I really can't remember. But I'm going to put a little bit on each side of the bells. like so, just hot gluing it in. All right, I think this looks so pretty. But guess what? I'm not done. I need the knockers for the bells. This is the last thing. Last thing I'm gonna do. These are just some crystal, plasticky, glass, whatever, you know, ornaments that I got from Hobby Lobby many years ago, and I'm just gonna hot glue them underneath here. And then I will show you how this turned out at the end of the video. All right, let's get on to DIY number 3. I'm gonna do another ornament. I'm gonna do a snowman ornament, a Shabby Chic one. Just gonna use a styrofoam ball. I like the way it looks. That's all sparkly. I'm not gonna paint it. I have some of my crafting foam here, and this is my little top hat pattern. I'm just gonna draw it on. So I got 3 pieces to the hat. And I know my pen wasn't working well, but it does make an indent so I can see the whole thing. And this is the top part of the hat. And this one is the brim. Okay, now I'm going to get everything cut out. All right, all the pieces are cut out, and I'm just going to hot glue these together. I'm going to put a bead of hot glue right here and press it together. Now I'm going to glue the top of the hat on. There we go. And I'm not going to be putting the bottom on here just yet. But that's what it's going to look like. I want to use some of this ribbon to cover up the hat. And of course, unfortunately, it is just not wide enough, so I'm going to have to piece it together just a little bit. And I did have to cut off the gold trim on the edges, the wired part, but I will be using it on the hat later. So here it is. I did use that gold trim at the top there. You can see I have these little pieces. I'm also going to continue to use them on here. I'm going to go back on my seam. And I did cover the brim also. I have this other ribbon here that I'm going to use for the band. I just folded it over 3 times and hot glued it. So I'm just going to be gluing this around the bottom here for my band. But first, I want to go ahead and paint the bottom of this foam because I don't want it to be pure white like this. So I'm using some antique white and just have that all painted up. I think it's going to coordinate pretty good. All right, now that that is done, I went ahead and glued the hat to the brim. And now I'm going to hot glue my band. All right, I also have some of that tulle that you can get from the Dollar Tree that looks like it's got snow on it. I cut a piece off, cut it in half, just scrunching it up, twisting it together. I'm going to put this on the very back of the hat. I did use 3 of those little pieces to cover up the seam, but I want to cover up this other seam that I had to make on the brim with that ribbon. I wish I had some material that would have worked, but I just didn't, so is using that, and I will be adding one more piece to that, but that kind of covers up the back just a little bit, dresses it up a bit too. Now for the front, I'm going to take this little feather pick that's from the His and Hers collection, and I cut the stick part off. I'm just going to hot glue this on the front. And I also have this little tool with pearls that's from that same collection. This is in the cream color. And I'm going to hot glue this on too. All right, I'm going to take this button. This is a button that I got from Hobby Lobby. And I like how it has the black and the silver. I think the black needs to be on here because, of course, you know my snowman's going to have black eyes and a mouth. So I'm going to go ahead and get that glued onto the front. And that is all that I'm going to be doing on the front part. And I did take an old vintage button that's a pearly looking one and put it on the back. Now I got to dress up the brim, but you can see how cute this is already looking for the snowman hat. I want to add some lace here. So I have this lace and I just gathered it up with a needle and thread, and I'm going to hot glue it on to the brim. This just fancies up the top hat a little bit. Now, of course, this would look pretty if you did some pinks too, or even some blues, but I thought I'd just do some monochromatic stuff here. I'm going to continue getting this lace hot glued onto the brim. And you might notice that I have a hole cut underneath the brim. That's because I need to be able to get my holder up there, my string holder. So what I'm going to do is make a hole here with my X-Acto knife so I can push the plastic part through. And you know what? I should have done this differently. If I make any more of these, don't put the bottom on first. Get this in there first, because it's hard to get in there to pull the string down. I had a heck of a time. So, you know, you live and you learn. I'm just trying to make the hole a little bit bigger because the other end of this is much bigger than the smaller end. You know, there's one wider and one skinnier. All right, I finally got it to come through, as you can see. But I'm going to put this little skewer up here because I got to pull it down just a little bit further so I can connect it, and I don't want it to pop all the way through. Let's go ahead and get it connected and then pull it up. There you go. Then got it ready to go on top of the snowman, but you know what? You could also use this just as an ornament the way it is. But we're making a snowman, so we've got to continue. All right, so for my snowman, I want to have some ruffles underneath his head, so I'm using 2 different sizes of lace here. And I'm just going to gather it with the needle and thread. So here's how it turned out. I'm going to hot glue these together. This is the bigger piece, so this is going to go on the bottom. And the other piece is just a little bit lighter colored. And I'm going to put it on the top, just get it glued down. And then I'm going to take my styrofoam ball, and it's going to get glued right in the center. So I'm going to tap it down a little bit here just to flatten it just a touch. Get lots of glue on and press it down. And then we'll let it dry. Now that it's dry, I am going to make a nose here with different size of pearls. This is the stick that came off of the feather pick, and I'm just putting 3 different sizes of pearls here. Just going to put a little bit of glue on here. Get the first one on. There we go. I'm going to build up the nose. I think this looks really cute for a nose. Put a little bit of glue there. And I'm taking some of these half pearls. I'm taking a small one just to cover up that hole on the very end of the nose. And I'm also going to take some of these half pearls and paint them black for the nose too. I mean, not the nose, for his mouth or her mouth. I have these cute little buttons that look like jewels. They're just plastic buttons. Great for the eyes. Just going to hot glue those in. You can see I I also put some of those half pearls just to put some whites in the eyes. And now it is time to glue the hat on. Make sure I get lots of glue. Put it on sideways like this. And just hold it here till it's dry. Now let's see how all of the projects look together. All right, I did put the little snowman ornament on a candlestick because you can also not have it as an ornament, but you can glue it to a candlestick. All right, my sweet friends, that's going to do it for the video today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and please be sure to check out everybody's videos. I have the playlist link down below, along with everybody's channel links. I want to wish everybody a very wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.